sure.
Yeah.
Oh, no!
Matt, what the hell was that?
Wasn't me, coach. Welcome to the Straight Red Card. Get off our lawn.
Welcome to the Straight Red Card. Make sure that you like, subscribe, and share it with your grandma. Now, we have been having some shows in the past weeks where we were getting hundreds of people watching and, well, 100 plus or whatever it was. And yet the likes were at like 20 or 30. So we got to fix that today. And what we've got new bingo cards here from Mitch.
Thanks, Mitch. Appreciate this.
So take screenshots, and you can only pick one of the following bingo sheets. This is sheet number 1. Sheet number 2.
Like how porn is just big. Porn! That doesn't count, by the way, guys.
No, it doesn't. And sheet number 3. Derek Koss. Well, that one's going to happen.
That should have been the free space.
Pretty quickly, yeah. All right.
And I feel like the turd should also be a free space.
Yeah.
It does.
I see that people have already looked up the word execrable.
I had to as well, actually.
You fucking non-English people, English major people. All right.
I'm looking at you right, and I'm like, what word did he mean to write there? And I had to look up and I'm like, oh, okay.
It's pretty close to the word excrement in one
exactly.
And why the words are related to one another, actually. But yes, if you had to look up a new word today, that's actually a good thing, people, because I guess what they say is the more words you learn and the more words that you use, let's say at work, words that other people might not know, that makes you look smart, even though you might not be, but it makes you look smart. So there you go. So
my mom and dad like to do the crossword. They even go out and they buy like crossword books to do.
Yeah,
you gotta stay sharp and everything like that. And they're working on one of these words, and I'm not even gonna do the definition of the word. I'm just gonna tell you what it is. The word was plethora. I know what the word means and everything, but I don't know what the exact wording of the definition they give was. And my mom goes, "Oh, the answer is plethora." My dad goes, "That's not a real fucking word. Stop that. Stop that. You're making things up now. I'm not writing that down." And
maybe your dad shouldn't do crosswords.
He pulled up the dictionary and he looked at it and he goes, "Oh, I guess it is a word." And then literally for like the next 6 months, anytime he had an opportunity to drop plethora, he'd drop plethora.
God. That's like, all right, Dad, can you switch to the word myriad just for a while? So you don't overuse plethora. And they're not exact synonyms, but they're close enough. All right, the turn in the background says, "Welcome to the Straight Red Card. Bad weekend." Oh, shit, yeah. "Welcome to the Straight Red Card. Bad weekend for our Yanks. However, Tim Ream looked at Thiago Silva in that one play today. My wife and I were watching. Man, Ream sure does turn her hydrant on." Ooh, I like that. You know what that reminds me of? So there was this gal when I was working in a certain organization who I'm not going to mention, and she was beautiful, just absolutely beautiful. And then there was this guy, and he's this little weak turd, but he's really confident, and he was working there too. And one day he tells me, "Yeah, I fucked her." I'm like, "You're what? Are you fucking serious? You did what?" Because I couldn't believe it. He was such a little fucking, I don't know, unimpressive human being, but he was full of confidence. I guess women love that. And then this other chick is brilliant, and she's beautiful. And I'm like, damn, I was thinking, I don't got anything to get, to even step up to that. And yet wow. And I'm like, "So what was it like?" He's like, "Dude, I fucked her like a fucking flooded basement. I pumped her like a flooded basement." And I went, "What?" Yeah, he's like, she was dirty.
He's like
dirty.
Best 7 seconds of my life.
Oh my God. I was like, oh God, I learned something. I was young. I was still in my 20s, and I learned something because I think he was a little older than me, but he had a lot of confidence. And that dude's like, "Hey man, if you're confident, you could do whatever the fuck you want." So, hey Derek, can you say fuck twice in a sentence asking for a friend? You did. Thanks.
So Chris must have got a dot on his bingo card.
He must have. Now, what the hell? Go ahead.
Yeah, I will say our monetization this episode is going to be limited from the get go. We had about 8 to 10 fucks there within the first.
Well,
5
that
minutes.
was the whole purpose for the long intro. So there would be no.
They seem to be going further into the shows now.
Well, they've mentioned that that now it's not just you can't do it in the first minute. Now it's just like they're cracking the whole damn video.
I was gonna joke around. Maybe they're just looking at the automated closed captions that come up and everything. But the school I work at, their emblems, the mascot is the Falcons, and they were doing the daily announcements, and they kept throwing them on YouTube so that way they can just pull it up quick and easy. And YouTube automatically puts the closed caption for you if you don't do it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And every time one of those kids said Falcon, YouTube thought it was saying fucking.
Yeah.
So it would basically say the fucking basketball team today, or 8th grade fucking basketball team or whatever. So,
the Falcon basketball team. Yeah.
And like, dude, how long did it take you to realize this was doing that? He goes, longer than it should have.
I know. And there are other words that are close to that too. Like another one, when I was in school in New York, and my dad was teaching at West Point, so I went to school, and we had a guy in class who and the Falkland Island crisis was going on at the time, and he'd raise his hand every day and say, hey teacher, when are we going to talk about the Falkland Islands? And everybody's laughing. He's like, what's so funny? They are the Falkland Islands. And then everybody laugh again. Falkland Islands. That's what I was saying, the Falkland Islands. Anyhow, that was hilarious when I was young. All of us, when you're 12, that's funny. All right. Has Derek ever manned a lighthouse? I have not. No, I have not, but I have been to lighthouses. And yeah, this is what Gordon Fisherman wears when he's not on the boat. If you see the picture on the actual, fish sticks, he's wearing a big yellow, goofy outfit, that's water resistant. There we go. Yes. But when Gordon Fisherman is on shore, this is how he dresses. Dark hat.
And he wears the Straight Red Card logoed shirt. And
he trims his beard when he gets back so it looks more like mine. Anyhow, that's just things everyone should know about. All right. By the way, I want to give out a shout out to not Josh Sargent, because Josh Sargent's injured. I want to give a shout out to Logan motherfucking Sargent. Logan Sargent, the first American to drive in Formula One in many, 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 many years. Because guess what? He drove a Williams and he didn't finish last. Like everyone expected him to. Everyone expected him to finish last. What did he finish? 12th out of 20. That's right. 12th out of 20. And Brett, hey, we're talking about Yanks Abroad here.
Hey,
buddy.
Yeah, Yanks Abroad.
Yeah, but driving Yanks
Sargent's
Abroad.
Injured.
I know, but this Sargent isn't, and he's performing. So I'm going to have to get you to watch some Formula One so you can't pretend you're falling asleep when we're talking about it.
You're right. I definitely need a good nap on Saturday and Sundays.
Well, you can get a nap in. There's usually 57 to 60 laps for most of these things.
Yeah.
So you can nap between lap 15 and lap 45, and you watch the beginning and the end of the race, and you got everything you need pretty much. So great race, by the way, this weekend.
Well, I even watched the beginning then at that point. Are there a lot of accidents at the very beginning?
No, that was IndyCar. Lots of fucking wrecks.
Why don't I just catch the ending, the last 3 laps?
There weren't a lot of wrecks in Formula One, but yeah, IndyCar was a fucking disaster. I think they started out with 27 cars and ended with 16 or 15 cars by the end of the race. Anyhow, that's enough race driving for now. Oh, by the way, here's another funny thing. I was trying to research Greg's dad and find out more about him. And one of the sites that came up when I was researching Greg's dad, by the way, who got a paycheck from U.S. Soccer last year, and we don't know why, and we don't know how. But according to some people who know the finances, he did. Now, he is a part of a marketing company that make those kiosks. They make kiosks, so maybe he made some kiosks for U.S. Soccer. I don't know. But I went to a site called lifeblogger.com, which had a whole page on Greg Berhalter, and it couldn't be more fucking fucked up and wrong. I couldn't believe this guy wrote like 7 pages of information about Greg's private life and even said Greg is not German. Greg is Irish. Greg has no German heritage. Motherfucker with a name like Greg Berhalter, he has some German heritage, dumbass, or Austrian or whatever. So this guy writing this is just don't go there for any information about this. I mean, when a guy says...
Why do we need to learn more about Berhalter? I feel like you've had 4 years is enough, Derek.
I have never met an Irishman named Berhalter in my life. Although I've been in Germany, I've met Berhalters. There are Berhalters in Germany still to this day.
What if like you're? What if it's just been a bunch of? No, it wouldn't work. Never mind.
Unless he's adopted. Unless Greg's adopted.
There, it's possible. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only other thing I can think of. We are going to have a guest probably next Monday, and his name is Stephen Griffin. Is that correct, Brett?
Correctamundo.
Okay. He is an author and a writer. He has some connections that I'm not going to get into. I'm going to let him speak for himself. And if everything goes down properly, we're going to talk about the inside and outs of the guts of U.S. soccer and why they are the way they are, which we already know, but he might tell us some things we don't know. And he'll also break down the culture and probably some facts and information that, we've had questions about. So we're going to bring some questions to that interview. I'm sorry, Anonymous, if you're taking a shot every time I say the F-bomb, you are going to be fucked up in about 20 minutes. All right. Berhalter is Scottish Gaelic for twat. It's a good one. I like that. Okay. So there was that. And I watched an awesome documentary, Brett, on female high school teachers predators. It's so much of this made me feel so bad because here you have this 20, 30-year-old teachers and they're having sex with these 17-year-old, 16-year-old high school kids, boys, men, kind of right in the middle, young men, I guess. They're not men yet, but I'm just okay, come on. She didn't groom this motherfucker. This motherfucker did that shit willingly. And I get he's underage, but 17, man, I don't know, man. At 17, I considered myself a grown boy, a grown, young man. I would have hit that shit. And it would have been no grooming necessary, especially if they were hot.
As we found out from previous talk of this, she is in your high school, so clearly she's fair game, right?
No, that's not. She's not a student. And I'm not saying that's a good thing. I don't think young women who are teachers should be trying to fuck all their students. I'm just saying, I understand why the punishment is less. I get it. It makes sense to me. It does. I don't know. Does it make sense to you? I don't know.
Fuck underage people.
Well, yeah, because of the law. I think that's probably the number one issue. But I'm sorry. 17-year-old boy is practically a grown man. I'm sorry. I mean, I don't know if you've seen some 17-year-old boys, but they're large, especially on the football team. They look like they're, big boys. They're 23, 24 looking motherfuckers. They don't look 17 to me. Like the whole front line of the football front line, the guards and the tackles, big boys.
How many check marks? No, already.
It's not about that. To me, that's not. Listen, the standards have changed obviously over time, but I just wanted to say I understand why women don't get punished as much as men. I think in some cases there is grooming from the men who are 32, 33, 28, 29. And the
you want to take a look at my Toyota Corolla? Hey,
the 16, 17-year-old girls that they're manipulating. Because what 16, 17-year-old girl wants to fuck a 37-year-old man? Seriously.
Actually, well, I mean, look at the data. Generally speaking, and this is all the way through a woman's life for the most part, they want to date a older male, and that's even in their 20s and 30s. They're talking about how there's Tim Pool actually did a thing about this. Surprise, surprise. But
Temple University?
Tim Pool.
Tim Pool.
But there's
vastly different study. A study done by Tim Pool and Temple University.
There are articles out there talking about how they're like these guys that are like in the early 20s that can't get dates with girls in their early to mid 20s either, because they're all digging up the 35 to 40-year-olds.
Well, can they raise that up to like 51? No, I'm serious. I have no interest in dating or seeing anybody. Listen, I am so happy being single and not having any drama in my life. I love it.
I watch a lot of different people on the YouTubes. And quite frankly, I can only get through about like 5 to 6 minutes of Tim's videos, because why do I want to watch 20 minutes of him rambling on about the same topic? You can just watch the first couple minutes, get it.
I guess it depends on who the guest is. Is that kind of? I guess I would. I don't know.
Right, I mean,
anyhow, I certainly don't wear my beanie in any sort of homage to Tim, but I mean, he's huge on the YouTube, so it's kind of hard to not notice that he's around, making boku bucks. Tim Pool taught Derek how to rock the beanie. He did not, because I've been wearing this since high school, and actually, I wore it a lot in college, and Tim Pool wasn't even born until after I graduated college. He wasn't even a sperm in the sparkle of his daddy's eye yet. Hadn't even been created to be spooged up the passageway to the egg yet. So there you go. I could be Tim Pool's dad for all you know. Well, I'm not, but I could be. Anyhow, so there's that. I mean, I'm not going to get into this, but I mean, it was an interesting documentary. And it's really interesting. Most of the women in the documentary were very good looking teachers, like really good looking. And most of them were married. So they're out fucking high school kids and they're married. Oops. That's not good. That's really not good to do to your marriage. So I'm definitely not advocating that. So why don't we do the topics you had at hand, and then we'll move on to Yanks Abroad.
Okay, sure. Yeah, let's quickly cover some MLS talk. You want to do some MLS talk?
What's that? Am I smelling what?
You want to cover some MLS talk?
Hey, you know, that reminds me of that song. Ooh, what's that smell? Have you heard that song before? Oh, what's that smell? What a stupid song. Nobody wants to hear a song about smells.
I have no idea what you're talking about, Derek.
Somebody does know a song about smells, because it was on the radio today on the way back from work. And I'm like, who wrote a song about smells? That is just horrible. And it was done in the 70s, I believe. So somebody's got to know this. Leonard Skinner. Thank you. Thank you. The smell song, Brett. I can't believe they wrote a song about things smelling. That's like as dumb as writing a song about burgers in paradise. Who gives a fuck about cheeseburgers in paradise?
He's made a pretty penny and a franchise out of that shit, so it worked for him.
Yeah. So does who's that scumbag that makes all the nastiest ass porn videos in Germany? The German Goo Girl guy. But so what? He made a lot of money doing that. What, he's supposed to be proud? Is he proud of that? I'm sure he is proud of that.
Yeah.
Well, but it's not like the
guy's like, people are like, oh, what do you do? And he goes, I make German Goo Girl porn. Look at my mansion.
All I'm saying, it's not a massive accomplishment, Brett. That's all.
I hold camera.
Well, he probably does more than that. Probably more than that.
Yeah.
Makes millions of men happy, I guess. So that is an accomplishment in a way, and it's a lot better than that stupid song about smells. There's lots of bad music out there. Boy, I have had, by the way, I have had that fucking song. I was at Myers, and they were playing this over the speakers. This would be the best day of my life. My life. I swear to God, I would punch that motherfucker if I saw him in the mall or somewhere in the store. I like, don't you at me, you fucking child. Learn how to fucking write some lyrics, you fucking Peckerwood. Just trash that song. Throw it in the garbage. What's the name of that band? American Authors. How about an American Douchebags? What a bunch of fucking idiots who can't write a song. They sound like the corny. And now all the songs sound like that. They all got that and the in the background. They all fucking suck.
I'm just gonna make it. I'm just going to snip that part out, Derek, and just throw it up on Twitter. It's just going to be going, ooh, ooh, ooh.
I fucking hate that song, dude. When I hear that song, it's going to be the best day of my life. I want to punch that dude, and it's making my day not good. It's devaluing my enjoyment of the day. It's taking an enjoyable shop at Myers where I am buying products and, having a good time, spending my money on things that I want. And I got to listen to that shit over the fucking whatever. They should have somebody who monitors what's getting played on that, because that is just awful. And then they played Obla Di Obla Da. After that, they played the worst Paul McCartney. That's the worst Paul McCartney song ever written. And they picked out the worst song he ever wrote, and they played it. Ding, Obla Di Obla Da, like go fuck off. Oh, no, life goes on. Fuck you, Paul. Worst song. I can't believe you wrote it. And then he made the Beatles actually 7 hours of recording to get that stupid song done. And they all hated it. John told him he hated it, and he didn't want to be there anymore and work on it anymore. He said the song was one of your granny songs.
Bad joke there.
All right, I got that off my chest.
I thought you were bringing up whatever Eiffel 65 or where the fuck 45 maybe, or whatever the fuck their band is. And the I Am Blue, Abadi Abada.
No, that song sucks too. I can tell already. I haven't even heard it, and I can tell that sucks. Sorry. All right, so let's go on to what you were doing. MLS attendance. All right. Where's DC? Oh, they didn't play a home game, did they?
No home game, yeah.
Because they would be last, right next to Houston.
No, I was going to say, last this week was Revs.
But Houston didn't have a home game either, did they? No.
No.
Dallas, 19,000. Not bad.
Oh, just barely beat Chicago. Look at that.
Okay, so wow, that's impressive. That what a jump up for them, because for so long they've had the worst attendance. The Revs are always going to have horrible attendance. Yeah. They just are. People in Boston, I mean, it's not the Patriots, so they're not going to go out and watch that shit.
Yeah,
and
their attendance. I mean, back in the day when Chicago and the Revs were going at it, so this is back in the day. 2006 to 2009 range back in the day.
Yeah,
that number was definitely like double or a little less than double, like in the 20s at the very minimum.
Well, they've also gone through periods where they couldn't crack 10,000.
It's because they also went through periods of suckage.
Yeah.
Now Chicago has gone through decades of suckage, so I'm kind of surprised with that almost 20K there. Maybe it's just home opener,
Whatever, I don't think these numbers are that horrible. I think they're pretty good. I mean, they're not great, but
from about 11 and up, I mean, that's 11 to, let's just say 11 up. That's practically like a Serie A.
No, these are Serie A numbers for sure. Yeah. And even better, actually, if you take the average than Serie A. But I would say this, a lot of these are maxed out by the size of their stadiums.
True.
So some of these stadiums don't hold any more than 18,000 people. So I don't even know what Inter Miami's holds, but it got to be around that much. 18,
I'd say it's probably going to be 20 or so.
You think so? All right. I got to look it up.
I hope so.
I have yet to do a study on all the stadiums.
You're in a market with Miami and you don't have at least a 20,000 seater? Come on.
Yeah. All right.
But, I noticed that too, but I'm like, even then, I mean, you start hearing numbers like, like Charlotte has sold 60,000 for their home opener, and then here's Atlanta. And Atlanta, yeah. At 42. I mean, still solid numbers, still beat out the Sounders at 30, which seems low for me in that sense.
St. Louis that was an away game for them this week, right? Yeah. But I think they had a packed stadium first game.
So, yeah.
All right. Yep.
Not bad.
Okay. It's not bad. I mean, doesn't blow your dick,
blow
your dick off or anything, but yeah.
Keeping an eye on those numbers and stuff like that. Someone had a question. Flipping through MLS games last night, there's some stark differences in stadiums and atmosphere. It's hard to believe some of these teams are in the same league.
I agree. Like, there was no intensity in the Revs. There's no intensity in DC. There's no real, it seems like kinship among fans and supporters, like you see in Portland or Seattle.
Do you not notice the difference here?
St. Louis, huh?
You're bringing up teams, and this is my answer here. I go, some enjoy the fact that they're the new hotness. where others are jaded from being mistreated for decades.
Exactly.
Atlanta, Charlotte, St. Louis will naturally have more active environments than Chicago, FC Dallas, or Colorado.
Yep. No doubt about it.
So,
There's
I mean,
when SKC rebranded and came back, they sort of had a rebirth. But Chicago tried that shit and they got shat on because their rebirth was garbage and it was horribly planned. And then SCD never really, I mean, they did, but they did it so long ago when they were the Fire. No, I mean, not the Fire, the
Burn.
The Dallas Burn. That rebrand happened so long ago that it's not relevant. And Colorado Rapids, I mean, they're still called the fucking Rapids. Really? They're named after water rushing through a canyon? Seriously? That's the fucking name of your team? That's just horrible. But you know what?
Chicago's named after a fire that burned down most of the city. So,
well, I think that's a kind of dumb name too. And by the way, no team should be named after fucking natural disasters. Like, I'm so sick of fucking like the earthquakes. Fuck you. Don't name your team after a goddamn natural disaster. At least pick an animal or something else that nobody else has heard of. But don't. What you got all these hockey names? The Avalanche. Fuck you, dude. You're gonna name yourself after the Avalanche?
Galaxy indicates that you're in a city with a bunch of Hollywood celebrities.
No, Galaxy's like the universe.
Oh, please.
They copied the Cosmos. That's where they came from. And they're actually the original Cosmos thing was supposed to be Cosmopolitans. No, please.
Please.
No, please.
Please.
Negative on the please. No, please.
Please.
Just saying.
No means no, Derek.
Fire, Galaxy. I'll take Galaxy every day. Listen, in Chicago has so many. They had the Sting, man. They could have used a Sting. That was badass.
Bumblebees, let's go.
I love that, man. It's an insect. It's not a natural fucking disaster. Not that it was.
It's a major part of the city, though, is the thing.
Oh yeah, that it burned down. Yeah,
and it's built back up, bigger and better. Now it's not so great.
Yeah, but that happened so long ago. I don't know. It's not relevant, but whatever. And remember, didn't the original thing have like something to do with the firemen? Or am I thinking Columbus in there?
No, sure. There's definitely connotations with the Chicago Fire and stuff like the fire.
The fire shield. The fire shield originally.
Yeah. Just like how Indy 11 isn't about the 11 men on the field.
Yeah, it is.
And it's not about Lady Victory.
No, it's not.
So it's
about
there's connections. It's correlated. There's things involved. But yes.
No, it's also connection to the 11th Regiment.
Yes, I know. I was there, Derek.
I know. I'm reminding you.
You remember that thing we went downtown for, and we got recognized, and we got this little documentation from like the city council or whatever.
Yeah, sure.
I still got mine. I found it.
Oh, did you? Cool. I don't know where mine.
I wonder how many people of the current Indy 11 or Burka Battalion Board has one of those.
Well, apparently they'd have no fucking clue who we were. I know because the Indy 11 called me and tried to sell me season tickets. And I'm like, hey, yeah.
Hey, we have your email on here, Mr. Richey.
It's really interesting. You know, I was like one of the original ticket buyers. And they're like, yes, we know, sir. And I'm like, well, I was also the first president of the Brickyard Battalion. He's like, oh, really? Yeah. I wasted 4 years of my life. I didn't say that to him. You know, and caused a divorce and all kinds of horrible things to happen. All right. What do we got here? Next. My feed no longer shows Yank Report. I don't think because Sam's putting out a lot lately.
Yeah. He hasn't posted a lot of stuff, guys.
I think he's taking a break. I think
wait for your thing to take a nosedive.
Who's taking pot shots at me, Adam?
Let's see here. Yanks Report. Just curious when his last video came out.
Okay.
2 weeks ago. Then it was 3 weeks ago, a month. Yeah, he's in my area right now.
Yeah, I think that in some ways Sam's getting a little bored. And I don't blame him because he's got to do his show all by himself.
He needs to interact.
For the most part.
He can still do his videos by himself, but he needs to start doing live streams with other people and be active like that.
What he needs to do is not have somebody who's just as good looking as him do the show with him, because he has that dude that does the show with him. But they kind of agree on everything or have the same sort of point of view. I don't know. They're too good looking of a pan. They need to be like us, burly, gritty looking. He needs a gritty looking guy.
That is man.
All right. Let's go to the next topic before I start singing Susudio by Phil Collins. All right, which is, by the way, one of the worst songs ever written. Susudio. Susudio.
Yeah, I keep hearing Alanis Morissette, and I keep thinking of you, Derek.
That's a really bad song too. Well, I know you're.
Isn't it ironic?
And there's not a single bit of irony in the whole fucking song. She doesn't even know what the word ironic means. Apparently,
guy was like 98 years old. He won the lottery and died the next day. That's ironic, Derek.
Yeah, no, it's not. There's no irony in that. It's bad luck, and it's
rain on your wedding day. How does it not get any more ironic than that?
It's not ironic. It's not. She used the wrong word. Oh my god!
Like it should be. It's like rain on your wedding day. Doesn't this suck? Don't you think? How unfortunate for you.
Yes, it's unfortunate, but it ain't ironic. All right, I really need for y'all to deep the fact that Taylor has a button down under a quarter zip that is under a puffer jacket that is under a blazer. What the fuck is this about? Holy Christ.
Couldn't wear any more layers there, man. Jesus.
Is it cold where he's at?
St. Louis. I mean,
I guess so.
Rain.
Yeah.
Not super cold. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4 layers. And can't forget the pocket protector. That counts, doesn't it?
Jesus, yeah. Believe me, I mean, there was a day and time I might criticize somebody on their fashion sense, but I'm not touching that at this point.
Hat on, got a t-shirt.
Yep.
Still rocking my khakis from work because you can only see me from the chest down or up. I mean, you can see me from the chest down. That's on our OnlyFans channel, just so you guys know.
You know you were that tall. All right. You're tall, but you ain't that tall. All right. So what do we got next here?
Let's see. I'm just pulling it up to see what else I got here. Oh, there we have a new candidate for the U.S. Soccer Federation Sporting Director role.
Oh, by the way, Anonymous came up with the proper term, so I want to give him props. Coincidental.
Isn't it coincidental?
Yeah. Isn't it coincidental? Don't you think? Yes, it is. It's coincidental. You dumb bitch.
No, I don't frequent Omegle. I do not actively seek out young girls.
The only thing I've ever seen on Omegle is the Kermit the Frog thing. That's it.
I keep telling you, you need to go look up the Do. Musician to musician, man.
The Do?
The Do. D-O-O-O.
What's that all about?
He's a guitarist. And you can only see from like his neck like to his waist, and he plays sitting down. But he there's not he can hit any song that any request. And he plays like double guitars, plays with the all sorts of shit. But he's fun. He's fun to watch.
Okay. I'll check it out. Maybe. I don't think I'm gonna go to Omegle anytime soon.
No, do not frequent Omegle.
No,
unless you want to see guys' dicks or underage girls opting to see guys' dicks, I guess.
Well, yeah. Or Kermit's cucumber. Yep. Yeah.
Very rare you'll ever get to see Kermit's cucumber. You have to be in the right field for that.
Anonymous
apparently, from what I understand with Omegle, when you go into like a kind of like a chat, roulette chat to an extent where you hit a key phrase, a keyword. You say like YouTube, and then everybody who's putting YouTube on their key phrase pops up, and you can skip them or keep them and talk to them or whatever. It's really fucking gay.
I think it's roulette. I don't think you're allowed to say it's gay anymore, Brett. Although I think you meant it was overly.
It's very happy. Yes.
Yes. Very happy.
I mean, guys with their dicks. I mean, come on. What's not to like?
Cucumbers. All right. What do we got next?
I started this conversation before the Omegle thing. You said something about anonymous, didn't you?
Yeah, but I forgot what I was going to say now.
Fair enough. We got a new candidate for U.S. Soccer sporting director role. Can you guess? Want to take a guess who it is? Take a stab in the dark.
Nope. I have no idea.
Do it. Do it.
Jim Curtin.
Wrong. Gooch.
Oh, okay.
Was most recently Secretary General Director for Belgian club.
Okay.
Excelsior. And then, he's like, hey, I got this one, guys. Don't worry about that.
Man, I don't know. I don't really know. I mean, I like Gooch a lot. I liked him as a player before he got injured. I still liked him after he got injured. I didn't base my whether or not I liked him or not on his injury. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to think about this. He's in the in crowd, Brett. He's on the board.
Mm-hmm.
So they're picking somebody from internal.
This would be more internal than the previous two that they've announced that they tried to go after.
I mean, if you're U.S. Soccer, that's like fingering yourself and going, "Oh yeah, let's hire that guy." Yep, let's hire him. Seriously, it's internal. It's another internal hire. That's what it is. All right, what else? Unless you got more on Gooch, I got nothing.
No.
Per Doug McIntyre.
No longer. Oh yeah. This is per Doug McIntyre.
Yep, got to give Doug credit.
Yeah.
If it's true,
this would take him off the Paramount commentary group, though.
Yeah, but he'll make a lot more money.
True.
I mean, he would probably, based on the financing I'm seeing, he'll probably make $500,000 a year. I'm sure he makes a lot less doing fucking Paramount because he barely does it.
God, did you see the yearly salaries for USSF as a whole?
Yes.
And Berhalter fucking topped it 1.2 mil or whatever a year. Jesus Christ.
Who did?
Berhalter.
Yeah, well, he is the highest paid CONCACAF coach as far as I understand it.
And it's just
he was in the middle range of salaries for coaches at the World Cup.
Yeah.
Not just CONCACAF.
Well, that's good. That's taking my next point. For that 1.2 mil a year, who could we have gotten?
Well,
I feel like we kind of blew our load on this one.
Well, he was a lot cheaper than Klinsmann, who was $4 million a year or near it. 3.7, yeah. Or somewhere around there, 3.7, I can't remember. I'm doing it from memory. But yeah, he was a lot cheaper. 1/3 the cost of
that was
Klinsmann.
five pairs of terrible sneakers. I wondered how he constantly bought new sneakers every single time. And I was like, man, he must be getting banked for this. And I didn't realize it was 1.2 until after he left.
Yeah. All right. Next topic.
That's topic. That's all I got going.
So let's go to Yanks Abroad, and let's bring up.
We're saving the article for last, are we?
We are.
Okay, we can do that.
Yep. So we got an article we're gonna.
This is where the chart's coming into play with.
Yeah, we're gonna, because there's certain players that we now need to talk about as okay. What kind of player are they on their team? Are they a critical player? Are they an important player? Are they a contributing player? A peripheral player? A developing player? A limited bench player? And doesn't dress at all? So I assign points to each of those. And then there are bonus sections on the left. So if you're a regular starter, you get 4 more points. An occasional starter, 3. Bench minutes, 2. Rarely playing, 1. Not in the 18, 0. This is like
league bonus.
Yep. And then you got to take this as a whole with 10 games, the last 10 games this player has played, right? Got to keep that in mind too. You can't do it off of 2 games. You got to have a window of games that you're looking at here. And the league bonuses are, you got the top 5 leagues, get a 3-point bonus. Medium leagues would be like Argentina, Brazil, Holland, the championship. And then everything lower than that, I would consider a lower team. And if you're even lower than that, you get 0. So if you're playing in USL, you don't get any bonus paid points at all. That's how it is. You're in MLS. When I say lower, it's just lower than the top 5 in the medium leagues, right underneath the top 5. I still would consider Holland. And I don't want to get into this debate. I'm not getting into this debate. If you have a different definition, then you change the numbers to suit yourself. If you think MLS is in a medium, then you go ahead with that and you make them a 2-point bonus. But I'm not going to. You get a 1-point bonus for playing in MLS. In my way of looking things, they're right where Belgium is, right? They're Belgium, United States, Scotland, kind of in that area, right? They're almost as good as the championship, but not quite. As we have now learned, the championship is a fucking bastard-ass league to play in. It is difficult. It's a fucking, it ain't MLS. People are They are fighting to the death in the championship. Now you don't see that in MLS. So let's start with Leeds. All right, let's start with Leeds.
Real quick before Leeds.
Yeah.
Chris Gary says 83 people watching, only 27 likes. The parking video.
Let's get it up. That's what she said. Let's get it up. Take the Viagra. Hit the like button.
Got those back up from Chris. I love the fact that people are still using farking.
Farking, yep.
I mean, that's almost a year and some change old reference that just constantly gets used.
Fark is alive and well in the Bundesliga too, and he's doing well on his return back to the Bundesliga. All right, so here's the weird thing about the Leeds game. All right, I liked how Gracia's set up, Mike D. I like Mike D's setup for the game.
Chicken.
It was pretty good. But here's the thing: the sub sucked. He left Harrison. Did you watch the game, by the way?
I was at Jackson's game. I saw the goal. So I didn't really get to keep an eye on it because Jackson was on the field.
Can I just tell you how fucking horrible Jack Harrison is?
Well,
he was the worst player on the field by a long shot.
I could have assumed that because I've watched him for the past ever, this entire season. So,
and not that Aronson was blowing anybody's fucking dick off, but at least he was playing and creating some really good opportunities. And so he takes Aronson off and puts Nanto on, which I don't mind Nanto, but Nanto for Harrison made a lot more sense at that time, and I couldn't figure it out. And then he put Joseph, who's really part of the U23 setup for Leeds. He came in because Bamford's hurt again, little bitch. He came in for Rudder, who had some good moments. But the thing about this whole team, and we keep talking about it, once they get inside the box or near the box, they fall apart. They crumble. They get nervous. They start sweating. Their palms get all balmy. They're not ready for the fucking
spaghetti. Right.
They're not ready. They're not ready to penetrate. They're just not ready to get up in that shit. They cannot score for the life of them. And this is just a problem with a team that in many ways just has no constitution. They're not solid people. They're afraid people. They're scared playing. They play scared. They play nervous. This can't go on.
I'm hearing a couple things here. Because, again, I didn't get to watch a game. Heard Weston.
Weston had some moments that I'll give him were good. But you're right. On the whole, it wasn't as good as I think we're still seeing rust on Weston. I'm not sure he's, since the World Cup, he's really looked like a guy that should be playing 90 minutes. Because after about 60, 65 minutes, he kind of slows down, man. He just does not bring the same energy. Harrison has been
real quick, though, to that point, though, that was something that 29 said. Diego said that on our show and on Filippo's show, that Weston's the type of guy that'll give you a good 65, 70 minutes. But after that, he needs to get subbed off. Well, I'm paraphrasing, of course.
Right.
But, I mean, in his current state right now, I would absolutely say, about 60, 65 minutes.
I don't know what mushrooms or acid that Ramiro is taking. I'd like some.
Right. If this is sarcasm.
It's got to be sarcasm. S27 says, Adams has that dog in him. Have you heard? No, he's got dog. There's no doubt about that. And here's the problem.
Everybody's talking point too, though.
Here's the problem with what Tack tweeted. Tack tweeted that Adams was bad with the ball at his feet. I think that's what he said. Bad.
Paraphrasing because he didn't have. It was a whole tweet, but yeah, you're paraphrasing.
No, I'm pretty sure that's exactly what he said. Adams is bad with the ball at his feet. He's not bad. He's limited. But it's his role limits what he can do. His role is to stop the attack, get the ball, and give it to somebody else who can advance the attack. And that means 10, 15 yard passes. He ain't going to he switched the ball once last game, and it was a nice pass. So he on the dime. But you're not going to get that from him on the regular. That's not what his role is on Leeds, frankly. That's Roca's role. Wes's role is to bring the ball, move the ball forward. Adams' role is to cover the back four. That's it, period. And settle the ball. And we're seeing at least more settling the ball now and making passes, short passes, and having ownership of possession, which we didn't see under Marsh at all. It was go, 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 like a fucking bunch of spazzes. It was like watching people play on meth. So I'm glad that's over with because it looks like a regular soccer game. But, all in all, things could have been better.
I think. Well, jumping to that point, though, I think they are looking more cohesive in the defense.
Yes,
without Marsh, but they have even less teeth without Marsh. I think right now.
Well, they're missing Rodrigo.
Sure, but he was missing Rodrigo too at the end of it.
That's true, but he had Bamford.
Hey, just pull another tooth out there, Derek. Come on.
Well, okay, here's the thing that I'm talking about, tact, and him making that comment about him being bad. And I wish he would have used another word. And I know we're getting into semantics here, but now I've got to listen to clowns on Twitter who are taking his lead, that is Tact's lead, and saying things like he's garbage, he's a donkey, he sucks, he's horrible, he's championship quality at best.
Yeah,
he's
they're
league
toxic. Those toxic
Dude,
fans.
Now we're just getting like all the idiots coming out of the crevices, right? And they just want them to go back in their stinky little crevices. And I just don't want Tact to give them fuel to say things like that because that's kind of what he did there. And I'm not blaming it on him only, but it's like once you get some of these morons going, they're like, Tact's right. He's bad. He's awful. He sucks. No, that's not what Tact is saying. He isn't saying that he sucks. He's just saying that there are certain things he can't do and he's not capable of. Maybe bad was the wrong word that he used there. Maybe he should have used the word I used, which was he's limited. At least he knows what his limitations are, though. You don't see him try to dribble through the whole team.
This is going to be the PSA portion of the podcast here. Fans, you're allowed to have any opinion you want to have, and you can say it however loud you want to say it.
Yeah, you can. But don't be stupid. I mean, come on.
You can be as stupid as you want. Be as stupid.
Yep.
You're perfect just the way you are.
If you call him a donkey, I'm going to come after you because he's not a donkey. All right? He's not a donkey. If you tell me he should be playing right back, then I'm like, well, where have you been? You think he can cross? He can't cross the ball. He's not a right back. He'd be a horrible right back. He's not that good at being a right back. He was forced to do it at Leipzig. He's been forced to do it with the U.S. men's national team, and frankly, been not impressive doing that, to playing that position.
My take on Adams in this sense, I've been saying it since the last cycle started and everything. Adams' best position is to break up plays, get the ball off his foot as quickly as possible. And he can push up to help out and offer more options, but he's got to get the ball, receive it, distribute it. He does great during just quick movements, but it's when he's getting too far into the attack and you get him in and around the box. Although I will say he took a shot, didn't he? He took a shot for this game.
He missed.
I'm like, oh my God. It wasn't a terrible shot by somebody who's actually terrible at shooting.
It was a little slow on the slow end.
Doesn't matter. I give him credit for that. He deserves at least a 7.6 for that alone.
Let's just put it this way. Before Adams took that shot, he knew he was going to miss it.
Whatever. Derek, you miss 100% of the chances you don't take.
Or you miss all the 100 that you do take.
In Adams takes, yes.
Yes.
And 99.99. He's made one goal. Come on.
Firpo was terrible? No, he wasn't. Anonymous? He was not terrible at all. He was actually pretty good. He's one of the players that for the last handful of games have been pretty decent. My comment was a complete joke, just FYI. Hey, guys, if you're making sarcastic comments, like you can't pretend like we know you so well.
I believe I called it sarcasm.
You did.
Possibly have watched the last handful of games after Marsh left and said, you know what, Harrison's been like the best player on the pitch the entire time. Nobody would say that.
No, I know.
Unless you're an English journalist, and that's different.
I mean, it's sarcasm, but the problem is there are people that believe that. People have defended Harrison pretty crazily on the Leeds pages. They're like, he just had a bad game. It's okay. He'll come back. How many bad games in a row does this guy have to have before you're like, yeah, he's kind of a fuck up? Yeah, I know. Roca, that's kind of disappointing. I was hoping to see the 4-3-3 again, BMR. I wanted to see Roca and McKennie and Adams. I wanted Roca and Adams
Weston's
to
best
provide.
game was like that.
I know. That's where I'm getting to. If you have Roca and Adams, that gives McKennie freedom to move forward where he's good. He's good in the box.
He needs to get in and around that box because unlike the rest of the team, he is a smooth criminal.
He'll score if you give him the opportunity. He will score. Now, oh man, he had some close ones there in the last 2 games where it was just a matter of shit just not bouncing the right way. The ball's not bouncing the right way. All right. Chambers says, who's a better 9 at this point? Brett or Bamford? Probably Brett.
I got a gimp foot right now, and I'm still better.
What is Bamford? 6'1"? What are you, 6'3.5"?
2.
You're taller than that.
6'2". You're shrinking, Derek. You're getting old.
I am shrinking. I know. I remember I last measured myself a year and a half ago, and I was 5'10.5", and I thought, oh my God, I used to be 5'11". What happened? A little over 5'11", and now you get old, folks. By the way, at about 40, you start shrinking. Tack is a huge troll. That's what he does. Okay, well, I don't know if he's a huge. I mean, he.
Well, and to your point though, you said maybe bad. He's bad is just a bad use of terminology. That could be semantics. The troll. That could be the troll. There, he's like he's bad, and what happens? He gets a lot of activity on that feed.
Well, I'm about to text Tack because he never replied to my tweet, and maybe he just didn't want to start, a Twitter battle.
I feel like for the most part, Tact and Pete get like hundreds and hundreds of notifications an hour. I feel like most of mine go by the wayside too, but I just feel like they're just not searching everything on their notifications.
But this is one from his show friends. Like, we're show friends, right? He should reply to me, right? He's been on our show. We've been on his show.
Pay attention to me.
Okay, he doesn't have to reply to Jack. All right. So let's take the 3 players we just mentioned.
Who at Leeds can cross. I don't think anyone can.
No.
And Jeff, I think you could absolutely substitute Leeds with the United States men's national team too.
Yes.
And it'd be the same thing.
Absolutely atrocious. The most basic fucking skill. Basic skill. Such a basic skill. There's a guy on the U20s that does a better job at crossing the fucking ball and set pieces than we did have on the fucking grown men's team. What was his name?
You're talking about the kid that plays for
center back
for Philly. Craig?
So.
Was it Craig?
Craig, yes.
Craig, yes, Craig.
Now that guy can hit a fucking cross from a center back taking the fucking corner kicks. That dude can kick. Booth can cross as well. I agree.
Mm-hmm.
So Booth is one hell of a crosser, and he's moving usually when he's crossing. So
people are convinced that Shaq Moore is a good crosser. Shaq doesn't get that far up into the attack, so I don't know what they're smoking.
Shaq Less is done. All right, he's done. He's finished. He's not going to be on the U.S. team anymore going forward. Yes, Leeds need to buy Weah for right back. I don't need to buy. Well, I don't know. I don't think right back's really been. I think Ayling's done fine. He's not a world beater or anything, but I don't think that's where the problem is. The problem is once we get into the final third and we get near the box and the box is all warm and wet and we still can't penetrate it.
It's the worst.
We've got all the foreplay down. We've got it all warmed up, but we can't get in.
You've already read this. I just want to iterate here, though, that Romero is being sarcastic again, having Weah playing right back for any club at this point. I know he's currently playing wing. He's playing wing back for Lille.
No, he's playing. He actually played left back.
Okay.
Period.
My point though is that no other team would. Leeds should get him just to play him at fucking 9 at this point.
Well, it's nice to know that if fucking Jedi breaks his leg, we can move Weah back to left back.
He wasn't sarcastic. He says Ayling sucks.
Okay, listen, Ayling is not great, but I don't think Ayling is the problem. Again, he's not the issue. The issue is the attack. I mean, we had a clean sheet, then we lost 1-0. So we had a clean sheet against Southampton. Okay, that's maybe not a massive thing, but I think the back four have looked pretty steady in the last 2 games. But what have we not done? We scored 1 goal in 5 fucking games. You can't win games if you can't score. Okay? So this team right now couldn't score in a fucking sweaty goddamn whorehouse.
What if their expertise was to acquire own goals instead?
Oh, I'm sure they could do that. Sure they could do that. Melier might help out too. Okay,
Timothy had the exact same opinion you did. Couldn't finish in whorehouse.
Great minds think alike, Timothy. Great minds think alike. So let's grade these guys. All right, let's start with.
You're going to have to, because again, I didn't watch this match.
McKennie. I would say McKennie going forward is going. What?
I'm doing the bonus ones that I can tell you. He gets 3 for the league.
3 for the league.
4 for the starter at this point.
So he's got 7.
So he's got 7.
I think going forward, he's a critical player for this team.
Oh, he is maxed out, huh?
He's maxed out. 13.
So this is not necessarily a rating on how he performed.
Correct.
But just where he's at with the team and etc. Okay.
Correct. Same thing would be for Adams. I think he's a 13 for this team. Aronson, however, right now is only a contributing player.
I was going to say contributing, yeah.
He needs to move his ass up to important player, which I think he'll do, but he has come off the bench so much for the last 10 games. I really couldn't move him up to important player yet. And he isn't, when he has started, like last game, he's just gotten close. He's got his hand near the pussy, but he hasn't got it into it. So I just think we need to, I can't give him any more points. So he's 2 points short. He gets an 11. That's how the scoring system works. The max you can get is 13.
Okay.
All right.
Let's move on from Leeds. We spent about a good 20 minutes with them.
No shit. I better get faster. I need to move faster.
Leeds is always going to be a big talking point. There's 3 fucking players there, so.
Yeah, there are. Okay, so let's do Friday. Friday, we had Reyna, who did not play. Like, this is going to get really depressing, by the way, folks. Okay? Because a lot of people either did not play, sucked, or got injured, or were injured, or they're in teams that are headed to the bottom or already in the bottom and are trying to barely survive. So we're going through some really rough times right now. And I think a lot of us wish that's not the case. There are bright spots. We do have Booth. I think his blossoming has been nice. But Caden,
last week.
Yeah, Caden Clark, no surprise. I already told you this. He's not going to play. He was in the 18, didn't play. Daryl DK went 90 in a loss. Otis Sowie, we've already given you what you need to hear on Osawi. I should probably just take him off.
Remove him off the list at this point.
Yeah.
We'll talk about him when he starts playing again.
Right. Did not play. Not surprising. Yeah. Did not dress. I'm sorry. Did not dress.
Was he taking a photo shoot or something?
He was in the showers with his whatever. Mihailovic went 66 for PSV in a win.
Against PSV.
He is looking like
plays for Aze.
Did I get him confused with somebody else? Who plays for Aze?
Yeah, he said he started for PSV, so I assumed he played against PSV.
Ledesma plays for PSV, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I should probably make more notes for myself because a lot of these teams have all these fucking letters, right? And you think I'd know the difference by now. Aze, PSV, but sometimes I'll cross up PSV and
Chris Gary says only an hour in. Slow down, guys.
Oh. I don't know. Cannon is injured, I thought he might have got card accumulation. Benji Michael was in the 18 for Aruca in Portugal, did not play. Terrence Boyd went 90 in a loss. I'm sorry, Berlin. Jonathan
should have scored a goal there. Yeah. Sargent would have scored a goal.
Yeah. Jonathan Gomez was still with the tiny guys at Real Sociedad 2. Taylor Booth was injured. See how depressing this is? There's like nothing to cover. McKennie, we already talked about it. Holmes, injured. Horvath, 90. He did not make an error this time, thankfully. Not the egregious one he made before.
I do want to bring one thing up real quick about Boyd. Apparently, Boyd is player of the month in 2 Bundesliga.
Okay, let's do Boyd's rating according to this. Is he a critical player for Kaiserslautern? Yes, so he gets 6. Is he a starter? Yes, he gets 4. He's in a lower league though, so he just loses 2 points there. So there you go. That gives you his number.
Okay, so I guess jumping back to so you're saying that a lower league is a second division or less?
Not always, because the championship is actually a 2-point for me.
Okay.
The championship. But for me, Bundesliga 2 is like MLS. I think there's a serious drop-off in Bundesliga 2 from Bundesliga. That's my opinion. It's a serious drop-off. All right, Horvath, we talked about Stefan, 90 and a win. It really looks like Middlesbrough might be, this is a shiny thing. At least they're headed towards something, maybe promotion. Sargent, and so is Horvath, by the way. Sargent's injured. Gooch is injured. Trusty, 90 for Birmingham. Boy, he made it back quick from that injury.
Yeah.
We already talked about PFOC, 20 and a tie. Scally, 90 and a tie. Dest in the 18. Now, there's a guy that's fucked. I mean, he's stuck at AC Milan. I don't think he's going to play much, if at all. So we're talking about him being not even a critical player, but
he might as well be getting with his agent at this point, talking to Barcelona about the next loan at this, because AC's not going to get him.
Yeah. So if we scored him currently after the last 10 games for Dest, he'd be a limited bench player. So 1 point. He would rarely play. That's 2 points. And even though he gets some points for being in the top league, that's only 5 points. So that's where he is currently. That's all the system is. It's just a way to say where someone is now in their career and how, what their rating chart looks like. And when you look at the number that they have, right, and if you know how good they are, then if they have a really low number, they need to move the fuck out. They need to find a new team. And I mean right away.
Yeah.
Let's see. Reynolds, 90. Okay. Brett, why is everybody getting so fucking excited about Reynolds having some good games? By the way, they lost this week to Standard Liège. And I didn't think he really played it didn't blow my mind. Sparkles didn't come out of my ass watching that game and watching Reynolds. And I have to say, Belgium's barely, they're probably maybe even not as good as MLS. I mean, the total average of the Belgian league. Because the bottom of the Belgian league is total fucking garbage. So why are we giving, and his team's one of those garbage teams, by the way, why are we giving him so much credit for having a decent season at Westerlo? People have him starting or as part of the 23-27 going to the Nations League.
Well, I guess that depends on where you're putting Scally. Because if you put Scally, well, that's the thing though. Who are you gonna have as backup left back then?
Where?
That'll make a lot of people happy. Way good one, Derek.
Well,
so let's just say we take three right backs and one left back, and you got Scally who can pinch over if need be.
Right.
Barring injury, Jedi's going the full fucking 90.
Yes, he is.
Doesn't matter. So you're talking about a potential backup to Des in case Scally has to go over. So who would be your backup right back if Scally is your left backup?
Wow, that's getting really hard now, isn't it?
Well, I mean, you look at who we previously had. We had Yedlin and Moore. I mean, they're playing in MLS, and some of them aren't even having didn't have great seasons. And I don't know how they're really starting. I know Nashville started off pretty strong so far.
What about Tolkien as left backup for?
Okay.
I mean, really.
I mean, I know we were playing Nations League. We could definitely gamble with that.
I mean, if we're saying that Belgium
didn't blow my mind in the Camp Strudel cake or whatever the fuck we called it. That was
I get it. Right? Yeah, cupcake buttercups. Yeah,
we could gamble with it because it's the Nations League at that point. But I mean, I feel like. I mean, we'll be technically speaking, we're gambling with Reynolds too because we have really no idea how he'd perform internationally. Regardless, he's got very limited experience. If we brought him up a couple of times, I think. Let's
just say, for argument's sake, that MLS and Belgium leagues are exactly equal. Who has had a more exceptional last year or 6 months? Would it be Tolkien or would it be Reynolds?
Oh, who's had a more exceptional last 2 months? 3 months. 3 months. Let's go 3 months.
I don't think that's fair because Tolkien was off not playing. MLS just got
6 months. Would put
really
you in
two games into the season.
6 months would put you at what, like November, end of October? I mean, you could barely say that Tolkien had any great games at that point. So
I don't know.
You'd have to go way back at that point.
I watch Tolkien and I see a player with a really high ceiling. I watch Reynolds and
I'm not discrediting anything with Tolkien.
I see a player with a ceiling, and I can see the ceiling, and it's Belgium or MLS. And I look at Tolkien and I see a player who could end up going somewhere else like the Bundesliga and playing.
Well, you see the potential in MLS. That's the difference.
I see his potential in MLS, which I regard as a better league than Belgium. Not the top teams in Belgium.
Well, no,
but better than most of the teams in Belgium.
You could say that overall talent. Yes, okay, you can make that argument if you want to. But again, the same thing that everybody says when they move from MLS to any league in Europe. It doesn't fucking matter what league they go to. The first thing they say is it's faster pace, faster thought process, and it's just a vast difference.
Yeah, it is when you're playing Anderlecht and Club Brugge, but not when you're playing Kortrijk. It's not faster and better. I'm sorry, Kortrijk's garbage. There are a bunch of garbage teams in that league. Eupen, we could talk about it.
I'm just saying we're splitting hairs at this point, which is why I said we're taking a gamble with either Reynolds or Tolkien at that point.
Well, I'm taking Tolkien then.
Okay.
I just think he's got a better upside. He's going to be around longer, I think. And I think, yeah.
Well, I mean, they're roughly, the same age?
They are, but I'm saying he's going to be around longer because he's got a higher ceiling. And he's going to excel at some point and get better. Although if he doesn't cut that fucking Breck Shea hairdo off, that's not helping him. Makes him look like an ass. Don't get close to the Breck Shea look. Christ almighty.
No llamas here, man. Come on.
Yeah.
No
Pepe went 87 in a loss for Groningen. And they started off playing him as a 10. This is the freakiest game I've ever watched. And then when they went down to 10 men after a red card, then he had to be their only outlet, really. But, I mean, he was all over the field. I couldn't fucking make sense of the position he was playing. Sometimes he's out wide. Then he was back in the middle playing second striker or CAM or 10 or a 9.5. I mean, I don't know what the fuck that was. Maybe they're trying something.
It's the Berhalter 9, right? It's like you don't know if you're a 9 or if you're a 10. You're somewhere in the middle there. You're definitely not – You're definitely checking back far enough to be a 10 than a 9 in the Berhalter rule.
You know that song we were talking about?
Do you smell this or whatever it was?
What I'm smelling is desperation from Groningen. I think they're just trying shit they shouldn't be trying because he is obviously the best center forward they got. I'm not playing him as a 10.
No.
And you better use him now because he ain't sticking around Groningen after this is over.
Is he your best 10 too? I mean, does his benefit as a 10 outweigh his benefit as a 9 compared to the alternative 9?
He's the best 9 they got.
I know. Just saying words.
Yes, you are. Anyhow, they lost, so no big surprise there.
Shocker.
Alex Mendez for Vizela came in for 15, and he got an assist. And by the way, he has not been starting regularly. Hoppy played 70 and got the assist and a win. Good for him. Malik Tillman's injured or something. I don't know. I think they said he had a left testicular strain. So he needs to go easy on those. Ian, or his girlfriend does. Ian Harks, 90 for Dundee United in the tie. John Brooks. Man, all those Brooks haters are loving this shit because he is sitting the pine. Like, he came back. It's so obvious. It looked like he hadn't played for a fucking half century, and he looked bad. And now he's on the bench, and he's watching for 18. Or the
I don't know if you mentioned that or not, but Jackie D's saying that Hoppy also drew a red card.
Sweet ass. I did not see that. Sunday, EPB, 90 in a tie. I think I'm done with EPB for a while. I think that Troyes are looking horrible. EPB's not looking good either. And this has been pretty sustained badness for a good, 10 games of badness. And then, of course, he lost the starting spot for a game. Then he came back. So, I mean, Troyes are headed towards the bottom, dude. They're headed towards relegation. They're headed there fast. So, What started out as a pretty promising season has really gone dark fast for EPB. Balogun, 90 in a win for Rennes. Paxton, Aronson, and Tyler Chandler did not play, but they did make the 18. Kevin Paredes came in for the last 20.
Tyler Chandler?
Timothy Chandler. Did I say Tyler?
Yeah. Weird.
Weird. Kevin Paredes, 22 for Wolfsburg. They brought him in to win the game, so they got confidence in this kid. McKenzie, 90 in a tie for Genk. And, McKenzie's starting to look pretty promising. He is playing for the best team in Belgium. Let's keep that in mind, too. He ain't playing for Westerlo.
But, I feel like at that point, a good game in Belgium, regardless of team, doesn't make that much of a difference. You have a good game for Westerlo and you have a good game for Genk. Does it really make a difference?
No, because Westerlo's not good.
But if you have a good game for Westerlo...
I'm not saying he did have a good game.
I'm just saying. You're like, well, he doesn't play for this team. But if he has a good game for that team and he has a good game for this team and you play in the same fucking league, it should be the same fucking comparison.
That's not true.
And on top of that,
that's not how this works.
He has less opportunities to play against quality teams in that league because he happens to play for the best team in the league.
Guess what? Here's the thing. McKenzie is looking good versus Anderlecht. He's looking good against Club Brugge. He's looking good playing the best teams in the league. Westerlo are not, and nor is Reynolds. So there you go. That's all I'm saying.
Again, I don't watch his games, so I'm not going to say if he is playing better.
It's hard to watch the games because they're very choosy about which games they put up on fucking ESPN.
I will also point out that they Dispossessed and Cranks, all them post every touches by him. Yes, and he looks good in those every touches. And I know that's not even an isolated moment too. That's every touch.
They don't have one for the last game though.
True, because a lot of the European leagues are dicking them over as far as making those the footage compilations.
Yeah. Sebastian Ledesma he was in the 18, didn't play for PSV. Sebastian Soto, what do you think he did this week?
He started and got 90 minutes and 5 goals.
Yeah, right. No, he didn't even dress. For
Derek, why are we talking about Soto anymore?
Klagenfurt. Because he plays because the team he plays for is funny to say.
Sure.
Klagenfurt.
Okay. What's that one Turkish team you always bring up?
Ankara Gucu?
Yeah. Well, who's the guy who plays for him? Them?
Oh shit! I forgot his name. He's injured. Jaboli Arayibi.
There you go. I still think this is all made up, but okay, I'll go with you.
It's not. He's a real player playing on a real team. And I told you they'd get promoted, and they did.
You've got the most awkward name in the world to say, and you go and play for the most awkward named team in the world. I'm just saying, it's weird.
It's not awkward for me.
Weird.
It's not awkward for me.
Yeah, right, I'm middle America. It's definitely weird for me. Okay.
Yeah, like I learned a lot of Turkish when I lived in Germany. Give me a break.
Yeah, come on.
And there are a lot of Turkish people there. Don't get me wrong.
Of course you did.
But I didn't learn to speak any Turkish.
Bobbed all week. Yeah.
All right, but it's practice. Julian Green got 20 in the tie for Firth. Maximilian Dietz was in the 18 again, the young kid. Conrad, what do you think happened with him?
He doesn't have a team right now.
Let me see how many points Conrad would score in this system. Doesn't dress, 0. Not in the 18, 0. And he'd get 1 point for being in a lower league. That's hurting. That is hurting. Venezia, 16th out of 20th currently in the table. So still edging near the bottom.
Staying alive.
And embarrassingly for Novakovic, they lost to his team from last season or the season before, Frosinone, 3-0. They got their asses handed to them. Of course, Frosinone are now in first. So I guess it makes sense. But hey, weren't Venezia a fucking goddamn Serie A team not long ago? Holy shit, they look like they're a Serie C team. So Tessman went 90. Novakovic got 25. Busio did not dress. And Busio's worth has gone from 10 million when he arrived at Venezia to 5 million. He is 50%.
Not a great return on investment there.
Yep. All you Busio nut snugglers, it's time to maybe
Jeff's got a great question here because this is one that we always debate on too.
We think about this a lot, Jeff. When can we stop following players in these random lower leagues? I've thought about it, and the only reason I keep hammering on about Conrad and about Busio and some of these fucking players is because some people don't know when to let go. And maybe if I hammer it long enough and hard enough, they will finally release their grip and unpucker their fucking assholes and let go of a player who's just not going to make it.
What are you talking about, Derek? Him and Bello, they're going to bring us to the promised land.
Chelsea is tracking Andrew Carlton for laughs. For laughs. That's why they track him. They watch his videos and laugh. Who's paying $5 million for Busio?
Nobody.
He's going to be worth a lot less than that after the season at Venezia is done. Alan Sonora and Joel Sonora, the Sonora brothers, both play for Juarez in Mexico. Wow, they ended up in the same team. That's pretty cool.
After all the talks of going to MLS and all that stuff.
Unsurprisingly, Alan Sonora played 45, whole second half. Joel Sonora sat around and watched him from the bench. His older brother did. They lost.
Go, Alan, go.
Fernando Arce in the 18 for Puebla. CCV 90 in a win. Let's do CCV here. Critical player, absolutely 6 points. A starter, 4 more points. So, and then he's at a lower. So he gets 11 points. That's pretty high. 11 out of 13 points is good. So it's time for him to move on and look for another team, though. I really do think that's.
So where do you okay, never mind. I was gonna say, where do you rank it? Where do you rank MLS again on here? Medium or lower?
Lower.
Okay.
You get 1 point for playing in MLS.
I was gonna say I was gonna bring up Sands, who played his first match with New York this weekend against Chicago. And
how do you look?
He looked pretty good, actually. But they played him in the center midfield. And the game was a draw. Gutierrez looked better as time went on. He in the beginning of the game, he looked like he lacked a lot of confidence. And they went down the left side of the field like most of the game.
Right.
But before he got subbed off, he was definitely getting more confidence, which was good to see. I'm excited to see what he's going to do on the U20s coming up.
Was this at NYC FC?
No, it was at Soldier.
Okay.
They brought.
That's why you watched it. Oh, okay.
I'd watch any Chicago game right at this point. I'm paying the money for it. I might as well watch every single game.
No, I know. I'm just saying that's why you watched it. It was a Chicago game.
Oh, that's why I said Chicago. Yes.
Yeah.
Go on. No, I don't watch New York games unless they're playing in Chicago or if I get some spare time.
Yeah. By the way, props to Jordan Morris. Listen, I know we give Jordan Morris a lot of shit, but that guy has started out this season on fire. On fire. And so has Alex rolled on. So maybe we picked the wrong rolled on.
We've been saying that for a cycle now, Derek, though.
I know, because he looked really good in the Seattle game. But Jordan Morris, credit to him. He's limited, but I have to say, I'm not talking shit about him right now because I think he started off the season on fire. He just needs to keep it up, and let's see if he can do it. By the way, Bobby Wood did score, and I believe he got an assist too.
But this is
for New England.
But this is also the same talking point a lot of people make when it comes to Ferreira scoring the 2 goals and like Foot Mob or whoever else did the ranking and whoever pulled it up, game like a 9.2, and people are using that as a gotcha, as like Berhalter called in Ferreira for the World Cup and they brought up the 9.2 that he got for this weekend. I'm like, but it's the same thing. It's like they're doing great. They're doing great in MLS, and that's a great launching point. But they got to show that they can do other things elsewhere.
Yep.
So that's the big talking point. So you can
sorry.
say I'm not making fun of Morris. I mean, Morris is doing his gig right now, and that's perfectly fine. Roldan's doing good.
Morris's goal took a real skill to happen. Ferreira's were tap-ins. I'm sorry. That's what they were.
Well, I will also. I mean, obviously, if there's a skillful talent like a volley from the 18 is different than a tap-in, but a goal is still a goal. It's still a goal.
Yeah. No, I get it. I know you're a striker. If it goes off your fucking, a zit on your forehead, you're going to take credit for it.
I will take credit for anything, even an errant cross that happens to go in. I meant to do that, Derek.
Of course you did.
All part of my plan.
I want to say a thing about some of the MLS players that play. I already mentioned Morris. But very interesting. Akinboni from DC was benched after one game already for DC. That's the young kid, very young. I think he's 17, 16. So that's not good. That's one game he got to start, and now he's already benched. Maybe he'll come back. I don't know. Brendan Bai got a goal for you Brendan Bai lovers. Ferreira got the 2 goals as we talked about. Areola got 2 assists for you Areola lovers. And also Pomacall got an assist. Okay. Well, he's still not.
I heard he had a good game too.
You think Bayern's still tracking Pomacall?
I'm sure they are. I'm sure they're tracking him.
Sure, they're tracking him. Yep. On their they got him on radar.
The custodian downstairs is, it's in his file cabinet. It's like, oh, okay, there we go. Pomacall. He's got one knee. We don't need that.
Dibobasi got a goal for San Jose. Gressel, an assist for Vancouver. And that's all I'm going to say about MLS this weekend. Those were the standout American players.
What's the teenage homegrown, I think homegrown, kid that plays for St. Louis? I saw on Twitter that he's getting a lot of interest.
I don't know. I don't know who you're talking about. You want to look him up real quick?
Good.
I did not watch the St. Louis game, by the way, this weekend. I just never got to it. So do we have time to do this last article?
Of course we do, Derek.
Okay, so let's do that after you look up this young kid for St.
We're going to pull this up and start reading. I feel like somebody in the chat might get it. If not, then it's not worth bringing up.
Okay. So we're going to cover an article. There it is. Separating sports by sex doesn't make sense. So when you read the title of this article, you're already thinking, most of us are thinking, what the fuck? Because it does make sense in a lot of ways. Because I'll go back to my own high school soccer days. We had 4 girls that played on our team, right? 4. But that's before women's soccer existed. High school soccer existed in Kentucky. That didn't come around till like 95, 96 or somewhere around there. So these women had no other place to play. They had to try out for the men's team and the boys team. And they played almost not at all. Okay. So it would have made sense for them to have a women's team to play on, because they didn't get to play unless we were up 6-0, 7-0, 5-1, whatever it was. They just didn't get to play. And I think that's kind of unfortunate. So what if we had 23 women try out for our team and there was no women's soccer team and only 4 of the 23 women made the team? What? You've got 23, you got 19 other women who want to play soccer who can't play soccer because they're not going to make the boys team. So give them a women's team. That's the whole point of this. But the thing about this article is it has nothing to do with skill and ability and speed and all that and muscle and all those other things. This article comes down to people being afraid of being injured. Like in a lot of states, the rules keep women from playing men's sports because they don't want them to get injured. That's the point of this article. And had she added that at the end of the article,
I was going to say, I didn't get to that point yet, I guess, in the article.
If the title of this article was separating sports by sex doesn't make sense because of injury, this article would make a whole lot of sense if it would continued on and said that. Because you have to understand, in some sports, mainly men's football, American gridiron football, a lot of women are allowed to play that until they've gone through some sort of not anymore. Not in most states anymore. That's all been dropped.
Because it's all part of Title IX.
Yeah, because
part two.
Well, no, there's no women's football team at IU or anywhere else.
Sure.
But the point is, she uses a really old example of a chick back in 1985 who tried out for the football team. And she had to go through all this crazy testing in order to be approved to play football, American gridiron football. It ain't 1985 anymore. Women are playing grown-up boys football in high school. Now they're usually the punter or the kicker. There are exceptions.
Those instances are very few and far between those.
My point is, if women are good enough to play American gridiron football, then let them play.
I'm sure any high school that has a girl that's better than a male counterpart would absolutely have her on the team.
Absolutely. But that doesn't mean we need to get rid of women's sports. That's ridiculous. There are some sports where that's an absolute necessity, because I can guarantee you on some of these top high school basketball teams, they're not going to be a woman making that high school. And if she makes the team, she's not going to play. That's why we have women's basketball in high school. Because they're shorter. They're typically go ahead.
Well, I'll even go as far, because you brought the women in gridiron football, and they're usually punters or kickers. But maybe I'm only isolated to that one incident that occurred for a really well-known one where the girl, who was that? The college team. She went out and took a field goal attempt.
One kick.
And it was like,
one kick.
It was absolutely horrible. And you're telling me that somebody couldn't have gone through the ranks. It couldn't have just picked up a kid off the soccer team to come on there and punt every Saturday.
I can guarantee you one thing. Dawn Matola, who played on when I was a freshman, was one of the girls on our team, and she could kick the fuck out of a ball. She could have kicked it a lot better than that girl did. That's for sure. Now, did Dawn get to play a lot? She was like 6'2". She was a large woman. She did get to play, but only when we were winning, by a lot. And that's not fair to Dawn. We should have had a high school girls team, and she would have been the star of that team. But she couldn't be a star on our team because guess what? She may be 6'2", but we had two guys who were 6'2" as well. And they were big too, and they were bigger than her. And one of them was her brother, Grant. Grant Matola was our starting center back. And Grant Matola was a big boy. And he was better than his sister. I don't know any way other to put it than that. And I think she was like fourth string center back, which is an accomplishment for a team that went to the fucking state finals. We went to the state finals in 1986.
Yeah.
But did any of our girls get to play in the state final? No.
I will also say, having grown up as a youth playing club soccer, I have absolutely played female teams, whether indoor or outdoor, who opt to play in those leagues. Because obviously, if you're a girls team that's just flat out killing the other girls team, going up into the guys league will make you that much better. Just like if you're a 16-year-old kid playing for a U23 team, it's going to make you that much better because you're playing stronger and bigger and faster people. And I'm not saying, we'll get to that point here in a second, but I will say that the problem with doing that, though, is that all of a sudden the reffing is slanted one way more so than anything. And all of a sudden you can't necessarily go in on attack like you normally would because you're going to get foul called on you. That's just my experience.
I didn't have that experience. I mean, and no one on our team was worried about any of the girls, whether it be Dawn, whether it be, I wrote all their names down because I can remember all their names. Laura Michelle, Campbell, Patricia Phelan, Caroline's last name I couldn't remember. All very good soccer players. And none of us were worried about them getting injured. That was one thing we did not worry about because they were all really tough girls. And frankly, the rules were the same for everybody. And so that was the one thing I'm not worried about. This whole article is concerns about injury. And I agree. If we're talking about injuries, there shouldn't be any difference because if a girl is good enough to play on the boys' fucking tennis team, or if she's good enough to play on the boys' whatever team, then let her do it. If she can make the team, if she can go to and she's so good at basketball, she can be the starting guard for their boys' basketball team. What? Don't stop her. Let her do it. It's just like when we had, all right, this is a different sport, so different thing, but we had a gal named Fallon Sherrick who plays darts in England, and she joined the men's league. And she was competitive, and she would get through numerous rounds. Now, it's not exactly the same thing because we're not talking about muscle, strength.
100% different. Yeah, that league should all be intermixed at that point.
It should be. Exactly.
What general benefit does a dart thrower have as a guy than as a female? Does he have more eagle eye, hand-eye coordination?
So, that brought me to the other topic. There are some sports where there shouldn't be a difference. Okay? Pool. That should all be... Women and men should play pool in the same league.
Women can't break,
Oh, come on.
I'm joking.
Yeah, there's been some great pool players who are women.
100%, yeah. 100%.
How about
jockeys?
Jockeys. It shouldn't matter. And I think there are women jockeys. Okay. How about ping pong? I think men and women can play ping pong in the same.
Going back to jockeys, though, you'd almost imagine that women would be better because being a jockey, you got to be a small person, anyways.
No, but all the men that race as jockeys are small people.
That's my point, though. You got my point.
They're all about 5 foot or 4'7".
Can't cancel me, BMR. Can't cancel me.
Race car drivers. Listen, Danica Patrick made a really good point at one point, saying the Formula W, which is like Formula One, but it's for women. She said that doesn't make any sense. And in fact, there's a gal right now in Formula 2. I think she's French, and she said the same thing. There's no advantage being a man in race car driving. Either you can do it or you can't. And Danica proved it. She proved you can race in one of the best racing sports car, basically IndyCar. She raced in IndyCar. Now she didn't do very good in NASCAR. I get it, but she was fairly competitive for years in IndyCar. So I don't think there's another sports where there should be any. Well, MMA is one where there needs to be obviously a significant. There needs to be different categories. But that's not what this woman is saying. Her headline for this article makes her sound like an idiot, and she's not. She's just somebody who's been stuck in a college office too long. So all her quotes, for the most part, are about injury, and some of her points are like this one that you're highlighting, I believe, which is she says Gen Zers are more likely than members of previous generations to reject strict gender binary altogether. That's ridiculous. I just told you I played with girls in high school soccer because there was no girls high school soccer team, and nobody put those girls down. Nobody. We enjoyed having them on the team. In fact, well, especially for the bus rides home, which I'm not going to get into. But I mean, for some of the guys who were
all right, guys, let's go in the showers. Let's go. Woo!
No. I'm just saying some of the guys on the team were going out with those girls. So like Grant and Laura Marshall could hang out like in the back seat together while we're driving back from a game in Fort Campbell. It's pitch black. It's dark outside. Nobody can see what they're doing. They're making out in the back, So anyhow, in that way, it was fine as well.
Prayer in the chat.
I doubt that very seriously. So I urge you to go ahead and read this article. I know the title makes it sound like, it's going to be a one-sided thing, but her argument is mostly that the rules that worry about women getting injured needs to be dumped altogether. Although I don't think she quite understands the differences between men and women when it comes to something like, because she has a wrestling example in here where this wrestler who was really good at wrestling, and she's a woman, and then she wrestles, and then I guess she scored enough points for the team in some category. Okay, but she's an exception, and I'm all for exceptions. Let the exceptions happen. Yes,
because she does go on talking about maintaining this binary in youth sports reinforces the idea that boys are inherently bigger, faster, and stronger than girls in competitive settings, a notion that has been challenged by scientists for years.
Which scientists?
To your point.
She never says which ones.
Yeah, to your point, there are exceptions out there. There are absolutely girls that are bigger than some guys. There are some girls that are faster than some guys.
Don Matola, I mentioned one.
So yeah, it's absolutely.
He was bigger than me.
When you look at the overall picture, the overall evidence, it's a dumb argument to make. And to what I brought up in the beginning of the show, or before the show started, actually, was what scientists and how many years are we talking about?
Yeah, it is crazy that you write down a notion that's been challenged by scientists for years. Like which scientists are? Because women who are able to out wrestle men. That's an exception to the rule at the top echelon of wrestling. That would be an exception to the rule, but it certainly wouldn't be the standard. And the same thing would go for boxing. When's the last woman boxer who can compete with men in the same weight class in boxing? It's not fair. It's not a fair fight if that were to happen. And okay, so if we can stick to common sense here, but my point is that if women the exceptional woman can compete with men, I say let them do it. Let them try. And if they can't, then they can move on to something else where they can be competitive. So that's why I do like having that option for women to play women's volleyball. But if the woman is so great at volleyball that she can play on men's volleyball team, then let her play on the men's volleyball team.
Well, you brought up tennis, and there's this famous back and forth between McEnroe.
John McEnroe. You can't be serious.
Between him and because he brought the point basically to what we're saying is like, the
Serena Williams.
Was it Serena?
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if it was Serena or Venus, but he mentioned how like the number one women's tennis player wouldn't be able to beat the like when he said something like the 600 whatever.
I don't know what the number was, but she agreed with him.
Yeah, she came out and she flat out said, "Hey, the guys, they hit harder, they move faster. I'm happy to play in a women's league, Yeah. And I'm not saying that she couldn't have beaten a 650 some odd person in men's. I don't know. I don't know anything about that personally. I'm not a big tennis guy. But I'm just saying there are definitely people who bring this up. There are definitely people who call them out, and then there are definitely women on the other side going like, let's not go there.
Well, here's the thing. If Serena, let's say Serena woke up one day and said, like Annika Sorenstam did in golf, and said, I want to compete in a men's tournament. Let her do it. Annika Sorenstam did it, and she wasn't that half bad. I mean, it's golf.
The women's tee, though?
No, she had to play on the men's tees, and she was a little further back. She had to manage it differently, manage her play differently, but she handled it. Like, I think if women want to play in men's sports, let them fucking do it. Now, Annika said, hey, I gave it a shot a few times. I'm going to go back and play with the women, and then I'm going to retire. That's fine.
I feel like the women's tee is a little, I guess it's hitting across the board for all talent or skill levels of golfers, I guess. Because I feel if you're talking about a professional women's golfer, that extra 10 yards shouldn't make any difference whatsoever.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't make that huge of a difference. But, I mean, we're talking about people who are driving 300 yards versus the women's game where they're driving at about 270, 280.
So instead of going to to a 6-iron for your second hit, you stick to like a 4-iron or whatever, and you hit a little further.
To your point, there are men playing on the men's tour who can only drive at 270 and 260. What's his name? But yeah, there are well-known men players who don't drive it.
We got to branch off of golf. I'm about to fall asleep again.
All right. So anyhow, I say let the women try it and let them play in the men's leagues if they're good enough to do it. But don't get rid of women's teams. Keep the women's teams. So, Sorenstam tries to play on the men's golf tour. It doesn't work out for her. Well, now she can go back and play with the women again. And it's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. And we're getting to a point where there's two crazy sides to the story where there's an easy answer to make everybody fucking happy. Like if women are exceptional in a sport and they're good enough to play with the men, let them play with the men. Gives a shit. I don't give a fuck. Do you give a fuck? I don't care. So that's the end of this. And
like I said, as long as just like how the golf is from the same tee, as long as reffing is considered the same across the board, regardless of sex.
Right. But her whole point in this article is injury. Because she ends here, while the need to separate athletes by sex is still held firmly by many as a way to protect girls and women from harm, many people advocate for moving to a more integrated and inclusive approach. I agree, because if they're talented enough, I'm not worried about them getting hurt. I might be more worried about 5'6" Massimo Chiampo on my soccer team getting hurt. Then I'm worried about Dawn Matola, who's 6'2", getting hurt. A large mammal of a woman who was powerful, and she kicked your ass too. So I don't think that we just need to be common sense about this. We don't need to make this so fucking political and politicized. Like if the women want to try it, let them try it. I have nothing against it, but don't get rid of women's sports. Women fought too hard and too long for Title IX to just give up all their sports. But I don't think that's what this lady's saying in this article. So to be fair to her, I don't think this article is as bad as her headline. Her headline is shit. Her article is not horrible.
Derek, the thing is that that's the problem with most media in general. And I, as much as I tend to stick up for the Athletic for their soccer coverage. Is pretty good. Most coverage for anything is all clickbait.
Oh yeah,
it's all clickbait.
Headline,
and the actual point of the article is always at the very end. So it's all about driving clicks.
And I think what she just needs to investigate going forward is not so much the injury potential here, because I think most of us can get past the injury. Like, I think that's stupid. If you're worried about a woman playing American football, well, there's small guys all over playing American football. Are you worried about the 5'10" guy who's a running back? That's a man? No, I'm not, any more than I would be for a 6 foot woman playing running back. They're both going to there's a potential for them to get injured.
The issue at that point could be down to bone density. A 5'10" running back can easily can take hits and be fine. Whereas as a 6'2" woman who's bigger and taller, maybe even a little bit faster, who knows, might not be able to take the same hits. That's I guess it's the argument for the whole injury thing.
In football, it's a lot about body build. If you're built low to the ground and you're short, but you're bulky and low to the ground, that's okay. This is a common sense thing. If you're 6'2" and wiry, you shouldn't be a running back. You should be a wide receiver. There are jackpot. There sure as hell are. There sure are. So anyhow, I would just, if you want to read this article, just know going into it that the headline is bullshit. The article itself is all focused on injuries, not so much the fact that this is what she's missing in her article, that women's sports needs to stay. They has to stay. There needs to be women's soccer, women's basketball. Those things need to be accessible to women who don't want to compete with the men. And there's nothing wrong with that. If you have an exception, the exception is fine. You have an exceptional woman or 2 or 3 who want to play on the boys volleyball team, or there's no boys volleyball team, is there? There's no boys volleyball in high school.
Some high schools, more private schools than anything, but yeah, some high schools do have it.
I say let them do it. So didn't turn out to be as politically as cactusy as we thought, this article.
There's definitely political aspects to it, but yeah.
Not to me. To me, it's common sense. And that's fine. If it's not for others, then fine. Jesus Ferrari to Wrexham. Wrexham is so close to rectum. I think that's kind of a weird thing. Like, I always thought when I heard Wrexham, like if the British announcer slurs it a little, it sounds like rectum to me. Yeah.
Wrexham, damn near beat them.
Wrexham. You're like, rectum? What? All right. So
I'm not going to pull it up because it's going to take way too much time for me to pull it up. But there was some British commentator that talked about how he can't stand other commentators who, after a goal occurs, like lose their shit. Like, the whole, like, especially like the Mexican commentators, like goal type of thing. And
it gets
so
a little old.
I responded to somebody who quote tweeted saying basically like, well, and Jimmy passes to Willie, Willie passes to Johnny, Johnny crosses, that's a goal. Hey, you guys down there, be quiet. I'm trying to do a broadcast here.
Oh,
yeah. So Berlin, for last couple things here real quick. Berlin posted we straight red card fans definitely see something else in the Rorschach test. And that's in reference to this.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, well.
He's taking it from behind, I swear.
Oh, well. Listen, I'm not going to say anything about that. Berhalter trusts me. Berhalter trusts me and loves me. Well, Berhalter's not there anymore, Jesus. What can I say, buddy? Listen, Jesus, you just do your thing in MLS and see what happens. Listen, you could make a jump. I don't know. I mean, I'm sort of like, don't think you're going to, but you're probably going to have a good season. I just don't know if it translates to the U.S. men's national team.
Are you talking to the Jesus Ferreira as if it's Jesus Ferreira?
Yes, I am.
I think this is the turd in the background who has changed his name.
It could be. Yes, Jesus, we already mentioned you scored yesterday.
Prove that you're not Jesus.
All right. Again, I don't know how many people are up in this junk, but make sure you like and subscribe. Like is really going to help. throw a bullshit comment down after the show's over, or while it's still going on. It doesn't matter to us. But we do need to. Your mom doesn't count.
Also, if you feel we didn't cover a comment you may have made in the chat that you thought made a great point, go back down in the comment section and leave it there. We'll cover it at some point.
Well, what up? He answers.
There he is. Really? Yeah. What was that? Like
okay.
A minute later? That's a quick change of the count there, turd.
All right. So make sure you do all that. And listen, I hope we covered everything. We will eventually get to the U17 and U20, like our analysis of how that's all panned out in the last 5-10 years and how much the youth teams actually contribute to our current national team. And I think it's more than usual because that was pretty, didn't happen a lot in the past. So we will be back on Thursday. Monday, we'll have the guest on the show. And if you see anybody walking around singing that song, The Best Day of My Life, punch them in their motherfucking jaw. No, don't do that.
Or
don't do that.
What's That Smell song?
That one's actually better than the Best Day of My Life song. It actually is. I'd rather
the Beatles.
Obla di, obla da. It's pretty bad, but I wouldn't punch anybody for it. So don't punch them. Just slap them. Just slap them and say, "Bitch, shut up." Just
a little bit of slapping around, slapping around action.
Nothing that it's going to get you arrested, though. A light slap and just say, "Bitch, shut up" with that stupid fucking
Demar asked
shit.
the important question here: did anybody
get bingo?
Chris Gary says he's very close.
All right. Well, I would say if you want to take a photo of your cards and send them to Brett on Twitter and let us know how close you got and see where we're fucking up, where we need to help you guys out for following shows. Well,
and I feel like especially Derek. If Derek has a card of his own, there's going to be cheating involved. So at least with me, because I let you kind of run and I just poke and prod and push you along.
Yeah,
but
you do.
I don't sit there going like, "Oh, geez, I need Derek to talk about jizz right now." So, Derek, heard any good jizz stories recently?
Yeah, I mean, we did not get into that as much as we talked about predatory high school teachers who are women going after 17-year-old boys. We did not talk about the jizz aspect of it. So,
well, I guess real quick, since Chris went ahead and followed your suggestion.
Okay.
Here's his card.
Stupid Twitter post. Oh man, we didn't help him out on that. It wasn't blackmail. I don't know. We might talk about that more. I still don't know
the context of me saying "by any means."
Did you say it today?
He hasn't marked off. So clearly, I did.
Well, you might have said it.
Well, I imagine I did because he hasn't marked off. I mean, if he was going to mark off things that weren't actually said, then he would have marked off. We don't play at 10.
Do you say "by any means"?
I don't know.
No, it's something else. It's
by all means. I can understand that context.
By all means. Yes, you do say by all means.
I got my own colloquialisms.
I didn't hear it today. I did not hear it today. Sorry, we did not talk about herpes today. I did cough. No, I didn't. I did not cough during the show.
Wow. I don't think you did, yeah. And Derek, you haven't talked about your drinks in a couple shows now. This is weird.
Well, I was smoking the whole show, so you can mark that one off. I mean, just because I did a good job hiding it doesn't mean it wasn't
screwed by that, yeah. Yeah, we haven't really brought up anything lawless related. Yeah, some of these, they're definitely very specific. Like it wasn't blackmail. It's gonna be very specific.
Yeah, Brett coughed, but not Derek.
I did. I swallowed that down the wrong pipe, and I had to mute myself after one cough.
He was giving himself a hernia test. All right, guys.
I only coughed once, though. So
until the next time, make sure you share it with your grandma. And share it with your aunts and uncles. And if you have a stepsister, you know what not to do. Good night.
But she's a trap. She's an unsung novel. Turn a lap and get your whole world dazzled on the line. Or a phone call with or without wine.
Yeah.
Oh no!